Just as Florida wasn't built in a day, neither was BookThug. People have been asking me lately about the history of the press, and it dawned on me that the writing and learning and publishing endeavors that got us all here into this room tonight go back 20 years. 20 years that are actually represented in this room in one way or another. And so I'd like to begin this evening with a brief nod to history. For if I haven't gone to see that poet in London, Ontario in 1991, the first poetry reading I ever went to, where I tried to pick out the poet before the reading began and decided on the gentleman in the mock turtleneck sweater and tweeds, who then stood up and introduced us to the poet, who stood up and pulled a maraca from his back pocket and began to chant. Bill Bissett, who completely freaked my gobble, and whose Blue Ointment press I discovered afterwards. These meetings opened a door onto a world of the small press. It was because of that experience that I published my very first chapbook in 1992, a chapbook with the ridiculous title, Uranium Kisses Will Knock Your Socks Off. Think of where we would all be if I had gone to see some other poet. And just for everybody's curiosity, I uncovered a few copies of that chapbook. They're on the table. You're allowed to look at it. You're not allowed to read it. Because I said so. Are you the boss? Or after having moved to Toronto and learned about the Coach House Press, where I had opportunities over the years to work in different ways. In the bindery, thanks to Stan Bevington, who found me rooting through his recycling bins one day looking for paper to make books out of. Or later in the editorial offices, thanks to Alana Wilcox. It was the two of them who taught me to think in books in terms of making something. And it was even at the Coach House that I got to work for the first time as an author. My first real book having been solicited and edited by Victor Coleman. I look back and see that things would have been very different today if I had not learned about publishing from these different points of view by working with some other press. And then there are strange coincidences, such as the meeting of Denmark and the International Festival of Authors in 2004, the Super Danish Festival. The phone call I got from somebody at the International Festival of Authors looking for any publishers willing to produce English versions of Danish poets for authors to be sold at the festival led BookThug not only to become one of Canada's more ambitious publishers of poetry, but North America's largest publisher of Danish literature and translation. And Morten Sonnegaard is here tonight from Copenhagen representing that part of the history. But enough history. History is boring. History is self-serving. And what matters now is the future of literature. And with all of you here tonight, we are certainly on our way.